Hi everyone, I want to share a little bit my experiences I had with Diablo 2 Resurrected. So in case you have never played Diablo 2 or you have played it long in the past and now you want to jump back in when the game releases, I want to share my impressions a little bit and maybe prepare you for what you will encounter. So I have played the beta quite a bit. I've also played the first alpha that was only for streamers. So in total I've played like, I don't know, 10 characters or so now. You can see here the content in the alphas and the betas were only Act 1 and Act 2, so you couldn't really level very high, you couldn't really see very much, and there were only 5 classes, missing the Assassin and the Necromancer. But overall the game looks fairly solid, but you have to remember that this is the old Diablo 2 game. This is literally the same thing that you can play right now. I think you can even download it for free, I don't know exactly. And this has updated graphics and a few quality of life things, and that's about it. So it is a game that was developed in the 90s, released I think around the year 2000, and it shows. This is something you have to remember. This is not Diablo 3, there's no quality of life in this game, there is no modern conveniences, the trading is clunky, the party play is clunky, the loot tables are weird, the mechanics are weird. And this is just something to be aware about when you play this game. Now, I don't say all these things because I don't like Diablo 2. In fact, I like it quite a bit. I've played it a lot when I was young. I sunk hundreds of hours, maybe even 4 digits into this game when I was like 12, 13, 15. So I played many characters, I played many builds. And I also later on played something like Median XL, for example, one of the most popular mods for the original Diablo 2. There's also some other popular mods like Path of Diablo and the Project D2 that have become very popular and is mainly what people play these days when they play Diablo 2. No one is really playing the original Diablo 2, and this is a very important fact to be aware about. There might be modding maybe in the future, or some light modding at least, but it will definitely not go into the direction of PD2 or something like that, unless there is some huge changes, I believe. Now with all this out of the way, I can say that Diablo 2 Resurrected as a remaster is definitely a formidable job that they have done. So I think the game looks great. There is actually a button in the game where you can swap between the old and the new graphics at any time, doing your animations, doing running, fighting, whatever you do, and you can see on the fly how everything changed. So this is an extremely neat feature, and just playing around with that already is a lot of fun, and seeing what they have achieved with this remaster. So I wouldn't argue with the quality of the remaster. It looks amazing, the effects look amazing when you look at some of the skill effects. So I can just like do some example skills for here. There's a frost bolt and it looks like this, and here's a glacial spike, and here's our static field. That's just some lightning. We have the firebolt, and also when you fight monsters they look amazing. So you can see this here, this is the old graphics, and now it has been updated, and everything definitely works pretty well. This game is definitely not a Warcraft 3 refunded. This is a really solid remaster, and we haven't seen the later acts, but I'm in no doubt that they will be of equal quality and will feel and look amazing. They have also remastered all the cinematics, so some of them are already up and they can be watched, for example on YouTube, and also here in the game. They have remade them all and they also look great. So in terms of a graphical update, this is great. There is a lot of old bugs that they have like left in the game intentionally, especially if they benefited the player. They also have fixed some other bugs, like I think there was like some invisible damage sources and stuff like this. I think this has been fixed for the most part. In the betas there were also a lot of stability issues, but this has also been mostly fixed. So the main issue that the game has right now is that in party play the chat just stops working at some point. But apart from this, I haven't really encountered any like game-breaking bugs or anything like this. I know that with some abilities, some stuff is a bit like weird, but that might also be fixed with some feedback in later stages before the release. One cool addition that I have added to the game is the shared stashes. So they look like this. You essentially have access to this on all of your characters, so you don't need to go into your own games and mule stuff around. You can just put it here, and you have your personal character stash that looks like this. And you can also, like, for example, control click items into it and out of it, so that's pretty cool. You can also drop items on the ground like this, by the way. Another little quality of life feature they have added is auto pickup of loot. So that is a very minor thing, but it does help, I guess. And aside from this, not really much has changed. So this is the same game, the same patch, I think 1.14 from current Diablo 2 on Battle.net. And they have added some other little things, like you can do letter-only rune words in single player now, and off letter. So essentially, they have removed this kind of feature, I guess, for online play. And aside from this, I guess a lot of the duping exploits are also fixed, which is gonna help the economy quite a lot, I guess. So that is great. Personally, I've basically never played Diablo 2 online. I usually only played single player and multiplayer on LAN. But I know that this was a huge issue, that basically the entire economy was full of duped items and runes and everything. And I guess that should for the most part be fixed. And we're gonna see a lot more of like actual grinding going on, but obviously also a lot of botting. So Diablo 2 is bot heaven. It's infested with bots in every single game. And I don't think that Diablo 2 Resurrected will be much different. So we gotta wait and see if they're gonna do more about it, because this is all this game's release. But for the most part, I wouldn't be so optimistic. Trading is still clunky as hell. There's a trade channel, but you haven't actually seen how it works. But I can't actually type there, I can't see anything. I don't even know for like how this is supposed to work, if I can see what people in other games offer or something like that. So the way this usually works is you make a game and you type in the game name, offer this item or want to buy that item, or you go on some third-party websites and try to advertise your items there, or try to buy items from there from people that have what you want. So it is a really clunky trade system, and I haven't really done anything to fix that. So overall, it seems like it's going to be a terrible experience in that aspect, and I am really not fond of trading very much, I believe. Now, I did mention a lot of negatives in this video so far, but on the other hand, Diablo 2 also has a lot of positives. So it is still the old game. This is also an upside, because it does have this old RPG feeling that you don't really encounter very much anymore in these days. There is a lot of like these old school mechanics with this blocking and running and stamina even, and all these kind of things that just make the game what it is and make it feel so amazing. It is slow paced. It's not like rushing through rifts in Diablo 3 and one-shotting screens of monsters or something like that. It is going in carefully with a bit of strategy, fighting enemies in small groups or even one at a time, and trying to overcome the challenges that are laid ahead of you. And you can do this with pretty much any build, any character, any combination. Some of them work better than others, obviously. There are a lot of different skills, but on the other hand, also the skill trees are quite small, and in the end, for endgame viable choices, there's not really all that much. So there's not really many builds you can really farm with efficiently, but it will be a great challenge to actually do many different builds and at least go through hell and kill Baal on hell and stuff like that. And obviously the loot in this game is amazing. So you can find these yellow items that can be super exciting. You can make these rune words that can be extremely cool. We have magic find here, and we have hundreds of unique items that can be useful for some builds. You can feel happy about finding them, or if you don't use them for your own character, you can trade them for something better for yourself. And they all have like very unique styles, unique stats. Just in general, you can definitely forge your own path a lot more than you can do, for example, in Diablo 3, because the relative values and the relative strengths between builds is just much closer together in terms of the overall power level than it is in other games. And even if you have a weak build, for example, you can still do all the challenge, because there's not any like hard timers, hard caps or hard requirements on any of the encounters. There's nothing that really forces you to play a strong build. As long as you bring enough time and you survive and have enough potions, you can basically beat anything. And that is also a great part of Diablo 2. But speaking of potions, you also have to remember that this is the old potion belt system. So you have these limited slots in your belt. Later on you can get a fourth row here with a bigger belt, and this is what you use mainly to refill your health and your mana. And you have to constantly refill your potions, or you have to use your potions from your inventory to heal or refill your mana. So this is something to be aware about. There's a lot of like little micromanagement involved in this game. with your inventory, with the potions especially. And typically towards the later stage of the game, you're also not going to have any real inventory space anymore. Your entire inventory will eventually be covered up with charms. So with this mechanic, you just have like basically no space at all besides your Horizon cube that you can put any kind of good drops into later on. And you're basically not ever gonna pick up any loot whatsoever at some point, besides this one very rare drop once in a while. So compared to looting a legendary item like every 5 seconds in Diablo 3, here you're gonna loot like one item every 5 minutes if you're lucky. And other than that, you're not really gonna pick up very much. So on the one side, the loot hunt is definitely much more amazing. On the other side, it is also incredibly clunky because of this charm and potion system, and also something to just think about when you've played the game. Now overall, I definitely have to say that it's going to be an amazing experience jumping back into Diablo 2 again, even with all these little quirks and these little weird mechanics that it has. But just re-experiencing the game, playing through all the 3 difficulties with different characters is going to be amazing. And it feels more like an adventure, and it's more like the path and your progression to the end that matters than the actual end game. There's no real end game in this game. So most people either just MF, so they farm bosses over and over with a lot of magic find to try to get some good loot, or they just do PvP. So if you like any of that, then good for you. But for me, I think it will be much more about actually just leveling the characters, progressing, maybe even hardcore, trying to beat Baal, and that is going to be the most amazing part of it. And then you can do that with like many different ways, different builds. There can be summoner druids, there can be shape-shifting druids, there can be caster druids. Just on that class alone, there can be like many different variations, and you can do the similar stuff with like either cold sorceress, lightning source, or a combination, or fire sword, etc. So there are a lot of combinations with the 7 different classes, and that is really what makes the game exciting in my opinion. Now, how will the game do after launch? I don't know exactly. I believe that the hype will be insane when Diablo 2 launches, because everyone wants to jump back into the game. They're gonna have these fond childhood memories and just want to delve into the nostalgia. So that is similar for me, but on the other hand, I also have a really clear picture of where the game will be, and I don't think that a lot of the people will really play it long term. It does have long-term incentives with this long item hunt and mfing and PvPing and stuff like this, but I don't think that people that play other games these days and stopped playing Diablo 2 will really return to playing Diablo 2 just because it is mostly graphics update. So we gotta be realistic with this. There will be hype, there will be a lot of people playing, but it will also dissipate, and some people will remain, some more people than before will remain for sure, because suddenly this Diablo 2 has been brought up to like a much bigger audience again with some big new community hype, and that will definitely make some people stick around and maybe keep the servers a bit more active. Maybe there will be more actions taken against botting, duping, etc., so that the economy stays more clean. So obviously this can also contribute to a bigger player base in the long term, but we'll have to wait and see. For me personally, I'm definitely gonna have a lot of fun when the game comes out. We're planning to do a really fast Baal speedrun. Our goal is around 3 hours, so this is a very tight goal. Let's see if we can achieve that. We're gonna do some practice runs before, and other than that, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with my solo characters. Maybe I'm gonna play with viewers, gonna play with Nini, I don't know. My personal main focus will still remain on Diablo 3 for now, but I will definitely blast D2 when it comes, because it's gonna be great for a while at least. I believe that for the long term, Blizzard really has to include modding support, like real modding support, just like in D2, so that people can actually make PD2 in Resurrected and Meet in Excel and Power Diablo and whatever else is out there, and really make this game last in the long term, because the work they have put into this remaster is definitely impressive. So it does show that they have added a lot of details, they have thought about things, but without the mods that Diablo 2 has, I don't think that this will really last long term. So I hope that they will maybe do a turnaround or something, so let's see how it will go. But this is my collected thoughts on the alpha and the beta and everything I have seen from the game so far. It's going to be great, so if you are unsure whether this is going to be a good investment or not, then I would say overall a hesitant yes. Even if you're more used to the modern games like Diablo 3 or PoE that are much more faster paced, have more quality of life and better mechanics and stuff like that. But it can definitely be a valuable experience for you to try out Diablo 2 for a little while at least. Maybe get a character to hell difficulty, and you don't have to play it forever. So this is what I have to share here. Hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about Diablo 2 Resurrected. Perhaps you have played the open beta yourself or the closed beta, or maybe have some fun Diablo 2 memories to share, and any other things that you have on your mind. So hope you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.